Mike, that will come through for you.
Yeah,
Perfect. So, Gary, first and foremost, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background in property, and where your interest started?
yeah, sure. My name's Garry Telfer, and I have worked in the theatre industry now for around about 25 years. During COVID, obviously, times were hard for the theatre industry, so I started to think about potentially other avenues and started watching a lot of property videos and that sort of thing. Decided that I wanted to get myself educated properly, so I actually signed up with Touchstone Education, and I've done a 1 year property course with them now. So I've learnt
Amazing.
different methods and different styles and what have you, and so then wanted to then sort of dip my feet into it, the water as it were, and kind of progress. So I've then started following High Living and saw the deals that were on offer, and I had a little one-to-one with someone about 12 months ago, and I was going to do it then, and you know what it's like. You're not sure whether or not it's the right thing. You don't know. You've got to push yourself to do it, and you don't. And then
Absolutely.
6 months are gone, and and then you think, well, I should have done that. Anyway, in the meantime, I then decided that I was going to put. I've now just purchased a property for my first HMO conversion. So I'm about to do my first HMO conversion, and we've just completed on that. And the work's about to start. So we've done that with financing with a bridge, and I'm thinking it's a lot of money. Although we budgeted in, I'm thinking it's a lot of money here to be spending on the bridging loan. How can I cover that off? And then High Living pops up on my WhatsApp, and I thought, it's stupid. What I should do is get a rent to rent, get an income coming in from that, and then the income that's coming in from that, that's going to cover off my bridging loan. And then when that's done, I've also got an income as well. So I kind of thought, yeah, I'm stupid. I should have thought of that before. So I immediately contacted High Living and started looking at properties. So I got my Liverpool property then. And yeah, and so that's kind of how I've got into it.
And what kind of initially, other than that kind of desire to get that passive income, what drew you to high living estates?
Well, I initially got a when I first started out in with Touchstone, I was on did a Touchstone course sort of evening seminar, and then I don't know if somebody from High Living was on it or I don't know, but I then had a it was I forget her name, but it was one of the girls that works there, long blonde hair. Um, she just connected with me and said, "Oh, joined up," and then sort of
Yeah,
introduced
Charlotte.
me, Charlotte. That was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
introduced me to High Living. So then I've immediately followed. So I've then immediately been looking at deals, and so it's something that even though I hadn't invested on for it took a year for me to actually finally invest. I'd been following High Living, had one eye, and I knew that when I was ready to do it, I knew I
yeah.
already knew that. And for me, I'm not ready to source my own and do all that, so it just made perfect sense to come to a one-stop shop, as it were, and be able to get the whole thing sort of through you.
So walk me through kind of when you decided to initially invest to securing your first property. What was that process like in terms of working with us?
So with working with High Living, I mean, it was an incredible process really because I knew the areas that I wanted to invest in because I had a strategy in mind that I wanted to play, and then I saw a couple. And Liverpool was one of the areas I wanted to invest in. So something came up for Liverpool, so I just thought, right, now's the time, let's do it. So I just
Yeah.
WhatsApped and said I'm interested in Liverpool. Um, Immediately got a reply, and the investor deck came through. Had a look at it all. Then I had a chat with was it Esther? I think it was Esther I
Yeah.
worked with on that, and she gave me all the information that I needed. Um, and I just couldn't believe it. It was incredibly quick. I think I had the keys within a week.
I
I had the
wish
keys within
everyone
a
could be
week.
like that.
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. So this was a brand new property, so we had no issue, in terms of it was ready to go. In fact, what happened was I saw this one, the property that I've got in Liverpool. it came through on the Friday, and I immediately said, "Oh, I'd be interested in that." She said, "Oh, that's just gone." But then on Monday morning, she came back and said, "That's now available again." So I immediately took it, and yeah, within by the end of the week, I think we had the key. This was on the Monday, and I think we got the keys on the Friday. It was that quick. We just turned
Amazing.
it
Yeah.
around.
And that comes from the investor as well. That's partly you as well, because obviously you guys have to be proactive on your end for us to be getting
Cool.
the process moving our
Yeah.
side.
Well, I,
Um,
for me personally, I just feel like again, I knew what you'd need. I had it all ready so that I could fire everything at you. But I feel like as a relationship working with someone like you, you know, you want somebody like that because if they can turn it around when it needs to be, they're more likely to want to do business with you. And that's how I've always kind of worked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gary, what was your biggest concern with rent to service accommodation before you actually took out an investment?
The biggest concern is that you're going to do it and you're committed to paying monthly and you're not going to get any bookings. That's for me, you know, it's like you
Yeah.
commit you're committed to your rent and everything that's going to come in. You're thinking, although you know you kind of think I'm never going to get any, um, but it is obviously a concern. But actually, then when I got the figures and the way it was presented from you, that then and I've and deal analyzers and all that, I was able to feed those information in, so I was able to see exactly where my break-even points were going to be, you know, and how I actually realised how little I needed um, to put how I didn't need to fill it that much to break even.
Yeah,
That was the
absolutely.
point. And so those see my deal analyzer, you know, it was only like I could I could do with get away with having it not that full that you think, "Oh, I should easily be able to do that. There's no way I can not do that."
Mm,
And it proved to be, you know, gone beyond that. And again, you start to get me. I was then introduced to Rose Platinum through yourselves, who are now managing it for me,
yeah,
and then that takes a chunk of the worry away from you as well because they are used to booking people in and getting it in. So bit by bit, I think all the little things that you think could go wrong get sort of chipped away. You know, again for me it was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get it looking like an Airbnb? I want it to look really good, and then you suddenly realize that you know you can go to people to stage it, and you know
yeah.
and so it's all those little bits and pieces that I think were alleviated along the way, but that's what I was most worried about before we invested.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that we pride ourselves on, kind of having access to those specialists in those key areas that you just mentioned, because they're what ultimately affect the numbers and the results for our clients like yourself. So moving on to that, how are your properties performing in terms of numbers? What are we seeing in terms of occupancy?
Incredible, unbelievable. So I I took on my second property. I got the keys on Friday. That was in Birmingham. So I've got Liverpool. Liverpool already started having bookings in within. So Liverpool we got 3 weeks ago. That went online. So on the Friday we got the keys. We had it staged over the weekend. We had it photographed on the
Amazing,
Sunday. It was on Airbnb on the Monday. By Monday night we had three bookings. By the
amazing.
just a couple of nights each. Then we got a great booking for bank holiday in May, 3 nights, £1,800.
That's what
So
you want.
that immediately made me think that's all my worries gone. 'Cause I'm thinking this is going to work. People are definitely going to book this. Um, and then I utilize then my strategy is utilizing my contacts within the theatre industry and then working with people that are going on the big tour. So I started contacting some of those,
Mm,
and then I immediately started really filling them up. So now I've got somebody in Liverpool from May until June. I'm now in talks with somebody as to go in between June and August. Um, so we're taking on some good bookings there. Um, Birmingham, we got the keys on Friday. It was staged over the weekend. I got the photos last night. Like the photos came in about 4 o'clock last night. I uploaded them all onto my computer. I then put them out and contacted my theatre contacts,
yeah.
and I immediately started getting questions. This was about 7 p.m. last night. By 9 p.m. last night, I had 15 grand's worth of bookings in. Right.
Unbelievable.
I've taken another four
Unbelievable.
grand, and I've taken another 4 grand's worth of bookings today. Um,
So we're
And then
nearly on
basically,
20 grand in bookings just on that one property in 24
yeah,
hours.
and well, that's on that one. But then as well, on top of that, because because these are people that work in the theatre, they're then moving around. So this is why I've picked specific places. They're then also going late, so they're in Birmingham now, but then they're going to Liverpool later on in the year, or vice versa. So I'm then able to say, "Have you got your Liverpool digs sorted?" They normally say no. So then I send them the link to Liverpool, and then they booked on that. So I've now done 6 grand booking on Liverpool as well
Brilliant.
as
And what's
as a
the rent
total.
on that one?
So what we charge the rent on Liverpool, twelve
Yeah,
hundred and fifty a month.
you're making six. You're just on a 6 grand booking.
Yeah.
And how many nights was that?
That that was for 46 nights.
Wow, brilliant, unbelievable. All in a day's work.
So, that was me. Like, I was like, so you can imagine last night I went to bed very happy because I'm like,
Yes, I bet you slept very
we hadn't
well.
even got it on Airbnb at that point. We hadn't even, Jordan's put it on Airbnb now, but we hadn't even got it on Airbnb and we had 15 grand worth of bookings. So,
Yo, you're doing a better job at selling these than I am.
and of course now the beauty is because I was then getting people coming to me. So like already today I've had another person come to me wanting Birmingham date um, over the whole of May and into June. But mine was already booked. But I then contacted Jordan and said, "Can we do a deal here? Have you got any other properties that
Yeah,
I can take in?" And then so he's now paying me a commission as well. So I'm now getting not only
amazing.
am I getting my own bookings, I'm now supplying that and getting a fit and getting some money from that as well.
Yeah, and then just for anyone listening, with regards to yourself and your aspirations regarding investing, I know your plans, and I know what the plan is regarding once the cash flow's there, what to do. But just tell everyone what the plan is moving forward with regards to your investments.
So my plan now is to continue growing the rent to rent business and looking in other cities and locations that work for me that fit within my strategy. So we're now going to look to move into Manchester, particularly is the one we're looking at. Potentially Sheffield as well, Leeds, Nottingham, those sort of areas where I know that I can continue getting good bookings. But yeah, that's the plan is to continue doing that. As that's on one side. Again, within my property training, I was taught, to have plenty different streams of income. So that's
Mm,
only one side of the business. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm still going to continue with the purchasing, and the HMO conversions. I want to have a string of HMOs as well, which I'm
amazing,
also going to build on my portfolio.
amazing. And then I know you did your training with Touchstone and then sort of leveraged that into working with us. How has it been comparing the two in terms of what we're providing you versus what they are after your course?
I'm sorry, in what way?
So are they? I'm not sure how it works with them, but are they giving you support in terms of your investments, guiding you through that, or is it
No,
just a
so
case of
I mean, with Touchstone, that's more about teaching you the strategies, making you understand how it works,
yeah,
looking at all the ways of doing it. So then it's been great in sense of then I've been able to then fully understand what I'm doing with you guys because
mm,
I've already had trained with rent to rent. I mean, so many people don't even know what rent to rent is. So I mean, and
absolutely,
I didn't 12 months ago. I would never have even thought about it. Yeah, and
yeah,
most people go, "Oh, you can't do that. That's illegal." You get you know,
yeah,
because they just don't understand. But if you don't have the
no,
knowledge, you don't know, do you? You just don't know.
absolutely.
So, so Touchstone have given me the knowledge of the systems and how to work it and different strategies. High Living have given me the fully understanding of now how to then implement that and get that in place and work with management companies, find the right properties in the right locations, move that forward to generate that income.
Okay, and that kind of answers my next question was what's kind of one thing you've learned from working with us on the rent to rent model a piece of advice you can give to future investors or anyone who's kind of on the fence at the minute?
Yeah, I'll say if you're on the fence like I was, and I'm, it's weird because I'm now saying exactly what I've seen people down the side in the screen saying to me when I've been watching the courses. They're like, just do it, and then that is the thing. If you're on the fence, just do it. Have faith. Take that leap of faith and do it because once you found that niche and you know what you're doing and you've got it up and running, you feel comfortable, and then you'll learn the people on the from other people on the way. Don't be afraid to ask questions, particularly with high living. I've never felt like I'm still learning. I've only been in it a year, and I'm learning every single day. But
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to ask the questions and get the answers that are needed. And I think that's the thing. If you're on the fence, just jump off it and leap in and have a leap of faith and do it. And ultimately, if you are prepared to do it, you'll soon see the results.
absolutely,
And and if you
100%.
don't, what, if you do it and you don't, there are, there's release clauses. 12 months in or whatever, you can utilize them. But I don't think you'll ever. I think that's good that you've got them as a bit of peace of mind. But for me, I'm already
Absolutely.
thinking. I'm already thinking like,
How can
when
you
my
get
three
more?
months is up, how do I extend that?
Brilliant. Garry, thank you so much for hopping on with me today. Really appreciate your time. And look forward to working with you in the future as well.
No, pleasure. Looking forward to getting many more properties with high living, that's for sure.
Absolute legend. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.